dear. Will Smith's here. Will, what I'm doing now, I'm going to take you through the best stories that occurred in Britain in the months January and February, I believe. Control, check. Check.
Yep.
Copy.
Check, okay.
Roger that. OK, and talking of Roger that, a man has been jailed for 15 years for trying to have sex with an elephant. This was way back in Wednesday, January the 28th. Very brave man. Although, you know, some can go. For trying to have sex with an elephant, chef Kim Lee Chong was caught naked from the waist down, standing on a box behind the 5-ton animal. He actually raised himself up to the correct height of purchase. Purchase problems there, isn't it? The father of 5 claimed the elephant, a 29-year-old female. It was a female that was alive. You could get worse. Called Bua. Was the reincarnation of his wife, Wei.
No way!
Yeah.
No way!
That's what the elephant said.
No way!
No way. Yes, Wei, said Chong as he thrust. She died 28 years... Yes, Wei, said Chong. She died 28 years ago, shortly before her 29th birthday. Chong told the court in Phuket. What is wrong with that? It's Phuket. He said, this is why he knew the elephant was this is my favourite quote from this. I recognised her immediately by the naughty glint in her eye. OK, this was our smartest, craftiest American of the year. An American smoker has narrowly failed to pull off the perfect crime. What he did was, this is in Cigar World magazine, but it's reported here in The Guardian from Tuesday, January the 13th, in Matthew Norman's diary, which is a very, very good column. It's delighted me all year. After paying $5,000 for a box of rare vintage cigars, the man from Charlotte in North Carolina insured them against fire damage. Several months later, he put in a claim. He said he'd lost the cigars, and this is the quote, in a series of small fires. Oh, crafty! Of course he did. When the insurance firm refused to cough up, he sued and won on the grounds that the company had failed to define an unacceptable fire. So he was successful, because even though he'd smoked all the cigars, it's fine. But wait. Alas, the moment the cheque for £5,000 had cleared, the insurance firm had him arrested and charged with 25 separate counts of arson. He got nicked. Convicted on his own testimony from the previous trial, the poor fellow is on doing 25 terms of 1 year in prison. And they're going to be served consecutively. For 25 years. Never, ever mess with insurance. OK, this is a paper, unfortunately, coffee damage, way back on Tuesday the 13th of January. It's meant it's rotted now, Dan, so I've had to use a copy of it. But this is a genuine story. This is a guy he got drunk, and he's blind. He's a blind man, but he then drove 2 miles in his car. Mr. Langley is completely blind in one eye and can only see 3 to 4 feet with the other. Not good for motoring. He mistook the probation officer.
Was he in Sean's village?
Yeah, good way. If it had been driving a horse and cart, I would have said yes. He mistook the probation officer's desk for the dock when his case was called in Newton Abbot. John Darby defending said Langley never intended to drive, but both he and his wife had been drinking, and she wasn't fit to take the wheel of his Austin Montego. So no, she could drive. Imagine what state she was in, where you'd rather stick a drunk blind man at the wheel than his old lady who's in the back. He said, the judge said, every once in a while, all of us do something utterly stupid. This was Mr. Langley's occasion. Turns out Langley had 3 previous convictions for drunken driving. I know, it's unbelievable. This is the Darwin Award winners for people who take themselves out the gene pool. They do mankind a service. This is 2 heavy metal fans. This is John Pernicki and his mate Sal Hawkins. He and Sal downed 18 pints before heading off for a heavy metal concert by heroes Metallica. They had no tickets. They parked their pickup next to a 9-feet-high fence so John could clamber over. Unfortunately, the drop on the other side was 30 foot. They're 18 pints the wiser, these boys, remember. Unfortunately, the drop on the other side, 30 foot. He broke his arm on the way down, but was caught on a branch by his shorts. Lucky. You think. John thought bushes below would break his fall, so he cut through the shorts and landed on a holly bush, which punctured his bare bum. The knife he dropped sank into his thigh, so he's drunk, going to have metal content, he's got a knife. He screamed to his pal to drag him back up on a rope attached to the van, but sloshed Sal crashed through the fence and landed on John, killing him instantly. Yeah, 2 heavy metals. Sal was thrown 100 foot through the windscreen and died of his injuries later. John, 32, of Washington, D.C., was given the honour by the Darwin Awards competition. This is Wild Willie. This is the Berlin pensioner who, he's a wild man. Willie is wild. He just gets drunk in his old people's home, listens to music. Now other people are complaining. This is Willie Shidrovsky. He makes merry with his friends in his room at all hours of the days and night. First, Willie and his women start bawling. B-A-W-L-I-N-G, that is, complains Ursula Verg. Then all the neighbours start banging on walls and pipes, and soon the whole house resounds. Mr. Shirowski admits things can get lively in his room. He goes, "After all, I'm still alive. I can never say no to a nice game of cards or chess, or a nice woman mit ein bottle of beer." How about that, Liz? There was also a story that day of old women rioting over Ulrika in a shopping centre. They rioted. The language of one old lady would have shocked a docker, it says in there. We've also got 5 men died after drinking a cocktail of alcohol, medicines and insect repellent.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, this is in Indonesia. It was at a forget your financial problems party. 3 other men taken to hospital. Now, do you remember, Den, the story I think we love from the most from the year? Cyril the Squirrel. Do you remember this gang of squirrels terrorising people?
Yes.
Wow. It's on an Eastern... They formed a gang, these squirrels. Yeah. And apparently they'd lie in wait for pensioners to come home and mob them. A colony of grey squirrels is scaring elderly residents of a high-rise housing estate in the East End of London. Ellen Carroll, a Willoughby resident, said, "We're fed up with them. We've got a number of old people who are very frightened. They'll rush up at you or run down the stairs at you. They're around most of the day. They go into people's houses. We're talking about people finding them sitting on their sinks. I've even heard of them nipping people." Jack Birch, a Parry resident, said, "One young girl has been scratched." Scratched? Yeah. John Briggs, a local councillor, said, "I know at least one incident of a man finding 2 squirrels under his bed. It scared the life out of him."
You know, people can be squirrel jacked.
Yeah.
You know, you can get
That's
squirrel
what's happened
jacked.
on this estate.
Yeah, you're squirrel jacked. You never... No, it's terrible. It's
But that's
a terrible
exactly
problem.
they've been waiting and leaping into cars.
Yeah, and they come in, and they say, "Give me your nuts."
Yeah.
They're not squirrels, they're Essex girls.
Yeah, they're just going berserk. You know, those are the papers. There was another story there. Those are the papers. In a second, we return. Woo! Oh.